You're watching the CG Live podcast. Now, the content for these podcasts are a little bit different than our normal pods as we bring on members and do long-form interviews. These were actually recorded live at our events with members that were going on stage to present, so the content is killer. Enjoy the show. All right, day 2 of CG Select Live, the live podcast of the Collective Genius. We are in Sarasota, Florida, our second day of our Select and Elevate meetings here. We did 3 live podcasts yesterday. We're going to go for a record. We're going to go for 5 today. And today's first guest, since I couldn't have my good friend Steve Trang here, I actually have his better, I won't call you his better half, because that sounds weird just coming out of my mouth right now.
It's all not inaccurate, but go on.
Mr. Ian Ross with Objection Proof Selling.
That's right.
And they just recently rebranded, so I had to slow down and say that because for whatever reason, wanted to say disruptor.
Don't know why.
Yeah. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you.
Good to see you. You are presenting later today. This is day 2 for you as well. This will be your first presentation, a quick hitter, 15 minutes.
I presented yesterday too.
You did?
Yeah.
See, I was in here.
Too busy making content.
I was in here doing podcasts and didn't get to see the schedule that you were presenting.
No worries.
Today. So let's talk about, first and foremost, introduce yourself so everyone listening right now and watching knows who you are.
Sure. I'm Ian Ross. I'm a sales trainer based out of Phoenix, Arizona. I'm partnered with Steve Trang, who some of you might have seen or heard the name before with the Disruptors podcast. I'm trained sales teams to perform better, make more money by asking better questions, and understand how the right questions in the right order can get someone to want to take action and feel like it was their idea. That's our main approach.
Yeah. So to clarify for everyone that's watching, we have over 500 members throughout our 4 communities here at the Collective Genius. And part of that membership are service providers. Yesterday, we had Jesus Toledo with 80/20 and their multiple companies. And Steve Trang and Ian now, along with Steve, have been sales trainers within this group. Many of you out there that are real estate investors, just business owners in general, because I know that's something that we'll discuss, that other industries you're looking at helping as well, helping with overcoming objections to buy more houses, quite frankly, is what their business model is, to help you as a professional real estate investor do that. And so almost any service you could ever imagine that you would need as a real estate investor is represented within this group. And like Ian and Steve, almost every single one of them were referred in by other members saying, hey, this is someone that really has helped my business at a super high level. And you guys are no different. Steve has now been in this group, I want to say 6 years.
Sounds right.
And I can't tell you how many people have come to me and said, hey, I just want to let you know that the relationship that I have with Steve and Ian and their team of helping me, my team, more importantly, my team become better at sales and better with relationships. That's got to make you feel good when you hear that, right?
It's the reason you do it.
Yeah.
I will also say, to our credit, I did hear someone this morning over coffee who was saying, I've been real estate investing for a while. I'm in Select now, but I started listening to podcasts last year. I listened to Steve Trang and they heard this CG mentioned a couple times. And so I joined. So just saying, it goes both ways.
It does. It does. We've referred a lot to you guys and vice versa. There's a ton of people that tell me, hey, I heard CG on Disruptors podcast. That's kind of how it started.
I'm glad. The only reason I'm glad you're no longer hyper focusing on the word mastermind is because that word is overused.
Sure.
And it doesn't actually represent how good what you have going on here actually is. Even though it is, it's also so much more.
Sure. I appreciate you saying that. All right. So you're presenting later. I'm guessing it's on sales?
Yes. The one I did yesterday was on the number one mistake people make when hiring a lead manager. I was pressured into doing that one. I'm good at it, but it's not what excites me as much as the one I'm doing later today, which is on persuasion without charisma and what resistance is really telling you.
Oh, let's go back to the first one on the lead manager piece of it, because I know that was the one that you did yesterday. We'll start there.
Sure.
What is that number one mistake that they make?
The number one mistake is they're treating, especially at this level, when they're early on in the hiring process, they're still looking to scale. They don't already have a team of 5 lead managers kind of thing.
Sure.
When it's the first or second hire, They are treating it like it's simply a sales role. So they're not differentiating personality and skill set wise for someone who should only be a lead manager. They're thinking that I'll take someone in as a lead manager to become an acquisitions manager. And I don't think that is the right move when you're a smaller company, because they're very different skill sets. When you've scaled and you've got a whole system in place and you've got a manager, then you can hire someone with the goal of an acquisition manager and start them in the lead manager to get them familiar. But when you're getting started, you should probably hire overseas, paying a base pay with a bonus for signed contracts. They will perform better at a lower cost without trying to deal with the variability of like, are they going to be unhappy? When do they want to level up? The biggest mistake is treating them like it's the same role rather than separate.
I don't know if I have heard that a ton in the community where someone has hired a lead manager, at least recently. I'm going to hire this person for this role to then put them in the next. Was that an elevate level conversation?
No, it happens. It's not necessarily I'm going to then put them in acquisition. It's that they don't differentiate. They treat it sales role. They don't understand that one is the inside sales role requires repetition, comfortable following process. And then the acquisition manager is a different profile and will be unhappy in that role. And that role would be unhappy in the acquisition role. So not understanding, like it was great because right after me went, someone talking about PI and they're like explaining the difference as well. It was like a perfect complementary. So it's not necessarily that the goal is to put them in the acquisition manager. It's not differentiating it, but that setup. Now when we were buying houses all the time, we would only take on acquisition managers to be in a type of lead manager role first, just to get experience, follow the process as we train them and get told no and see how they're doing before giving them appointments. But ultimately that only works if you've already got your stuff kind of figured out.
Sure. So yesterday was lead manager.
Yeah.
Today, I heard the word charisma.
Yeah. Persuasion without charisma.
Okay. What's that presentation today?
Assuming that the person you're talking to, the person you're trying to acquire their house, assuming that they are a fit, because sometimes they're not a fit. Like there's nothing I can do that can magically snap my fingers in a 15-minute presentation and help you overcome $150,000 price difference. We have trainings we do on that to help someone be aware their thing is mismatched and all that stuff. But assuming that they are a fit for you, and if they're not a fit, to me, that's a math problem, which is a marketing problem, which means you're not talking to the right people. But assuming they are a fit, if they have resistance and you did your job right, resistance only comes from one of two places. It's either credibility with them not believing you, or, which is very common for our avatar and distressed sellers, it's they believe you. They believe you can solve the problem. They believe you can buy their house. They have an internal fear in taking action. And most people, when they're trying to get someone to take action, they are only dealing with the credibility side. They show comps, they're about how good their company is. Here's how good the process is going to be. The person has a fear-based hesitation, not a credibility-based hesitation. And when you're trying to be charismatic, you're trying to perform and show how much you can help them and how good you are, you're dealing with the wrong type of resistance. This is where sales almost becomes change work rather than convincing. Because if you're trying to convince someone how good you are, they already believe you. They don't think they can make it work. They have internal self like, oh, I've been promised stuff before and it didn't work out. It's a limiting self-belief. And so you have to give them permission to overcome that internally to then solve their own problem. The more charismatic you are, oftentimes the harder it is to even identify that second level of resistance. You're only seeing credibility because that's how you present, as how you solve that challenge. You don't realize they believe you. They don't believe in themselves.
I mean, I know you're not going to have enough time to get into that in 15 minutes, but what's a Cliff Notes version of that, of how you overcome it?
You have to get them overcoming their own objections. So you have to call it out. So the biggest thing is so many people hide from the objection, the concern, the fear. We charge it. We run towards it so we can get out in the open.
Give me an example.
So someone's like, yeah, I believe it. I need some time. I don't want to make the wrong decision. Okay. And for whatever reason, I believe that it's not it's not that they don't believe I can solve it. They're afraid to do something. Through the course of the conversation, we realized that was the issue. At that point, I would probably want to say, typically the people we've helped at this point, they still have one or two hesitations that they're afraid to say out loud. But that's probably, I don't know if you feel like that's something that's even relevant for you right now. I'm giving them the space to call out their hesitation without pointing it out directly. They feel like they are in control, so they have autonomy because they need to solve their own problem. And all I'm asking them to do is verbalize it, and maybe a little bit, and then we go deeper. What's that hesitation? How long has that been going on for? My favorite objection talk track of all time, when someone knows that, like, they like the offer, they like the process, they like everything, they're just hesitant, is asking, if you had a friend who was in the exact same situation where they know they needed to do this, they needed the money worked, the process worked, but they were just afraid to take action on this. They just felt fear.
Yeah.
What would you tell your friend? How would you inspire your friend to solve that problem?
Right.
They will say exactly what they need to hear in helping their friends solve the problem. We all have all the time in the world to give other people advice. We won't take our own. Then I switch it back around after they would say, you got to do this, or I would say, you've been in places like this before, you just got, whatever they say. I then go, how can I be that friend now? Or how's the situation any different? How can you take your own advice?
Yeah. It makes me, as you're saying that, all I can think about is a presentation that was done a couple of years ago on the difference between building rapport, charisma, and trust.
Yes.
Right? There's a massive, massive difference between the two. And this is if you're in real estate investing, or you're selling advertising, whatever you're selling, that cheesy feeling, if you're a salesperson and you're struggling a little bit, that feeling that when you're being sold by somebody, you're like, man, that's kind of a cheesy salesperson, or that's somebody that's all about them. That's rapport, right? You're trying to build rapport and you're performing.
Yes.
Right. Versus asking curious questions because you're picking up body language and saying simply, I've got some radar coming, going off here as a salesperson that I'm not connecting. And that's where the difference that's what I hear.
Yes. And don't get me wrong, performance can get you deals.
Sure.
In dealing with credibility issues. So if that's not their issue, if you're focused on being like, come on, let me help you, you will miss depending on your avatar, a significant portion of people solving their problem right now. You might solve it eventually once they realize it, or you stay on top of that. But how quickly you can solve their problem, how quickly they want to sign with you, makes a big difference in how much money you make over a year. If you can shorten every cycle in this setup from 2 to 3 follow-ups to the initial appointment, how much money can you make over a year? And so I also have a whole training on real rapport is not likability. I hate that idea. It's trust. That's everything I say. And trust I
saw you smile when I said it.
Trust has to be built incrementally. It can't be, you can snap you can be like, I'm from the same hometown. I love the same sports team. Hey.
Right.
But
fake.
I know plenty of people. I've got uncles I like that I don't want to see the numbers on my Amex card. Same way I had a surgeon who helped me with a labrum tear. We're just talking about someone who's be a risk for him. That surgeon had terrible bedside manner, but he was like the best in the city. I trusted him to solve my problem, even though I wasn't inviting him to a barbecue. I am in likability is fine. Right. I am in pursuit of trust. Likability is it's an okay thing. Most people like people they trust and trust people they like. Right. It's not the same thing. Sure. So I pursue trust. And when I say I don't care if you like me when I'm selling you, I mean, quite literally, I don't care. Not the I don't care, meaning I don't want it. It's not the goal. Right. The goal.
Are we solving what we came here to solve?
And if you believe the credibility side of what I can do, then that frees me up to go deeper into what's holding you back.
So if you're tuning in right now live to the Collective Genius podcast and you're watching Ian, this is Ian Ross, by the way, get really excited talking about trust and sales. I mean, what a nerd. It comes across. My name is Leon Barnes, by the way. This is the Collective Genius podcast live. We are in Sarasota at our Collective Genius Select and Elevate. Elevate is going on in the room right next to us over here. That's for people doing between 10 and 30 deals a year. And then upstairs, we have over 200 select members from across the United States and a bunch that flew in from other countries as well. And Ian is going to present here around 2 o'clock in one of our rooms upstairs on that very presentation that he just mentioned. A couple things before we get you out of here. Number one, this is a go-giving culture that this entire community is built on. I saw you upstairs before we came down here giving very passionate advice and having conversation. I can tell that you were giving value. Give me a summary of what you were doing upstairs.
We were going through what our saboteurs are, from Positive Intelligence. And there was someone who has the exact same setup as me. He's a restless hyperachiever. That is exactly my issue as well. And I was talking about how I had been told, hey, you need mindfulness to be able to sort of calm your mind and solve that. And then as a classic restless hyperachiever, like 2 days later, I was at a Zen center being like, how can I achieve Zen? I need this stuff. Like,
Give me Zen.
it was so, I was like, you're all off about this. I was like, yeah, for sure. But like, how do I do this? And I do it quickly. So I was talking about the adjustment that I had to make, which was actually something I coach salespeople on, yet I wasn't taking my own advice in business, which is that you're always in this pursuit of this win, and getting restless. I got to get another win. I always coach salespeople to free themselves from celebrating their results and celebrate the process. If you need to get 10 contracts in a month, how many conversations do you need to have to get that? How many dials do you have to make to get that many conversations?
Right.
If you just to division for how much you would make for those 10 contracts and figure out, okay, I make this much money every time I pick up the phone, dial, and no one answers.
Right.
You would never burn out. You'd keep going.
No doubt about it.
So for me, it was a business owner trying to have that same approach. Instead of the win in business, sort of this accomplishment, how can you reverse engineer that into the activity you need? And instead of trying to change who you are and sit in silence for forever, actually find a way to scratch the itch of the needing the achievement by shortening or lengthening the time horizon for which you viewed achievement. So what can I do on a daily basis? What's the activity I do every day towards that goal? What does that look like over a year? What is that going to lead to longer term? It's a mindset shift around what am I doing towards the goals rather than waiting for I got the win. Who cares about celebrating? What's on to the next thing? Mm-hmm. It's the win is every day. It's what I actually do rather than what I achieve. I achieve what I do.
I love it. I have smiling because in another life, another chapter of my life, I was selling advertising business to business. And I just remember celebrating the no's harder than celebrating the signed contracts.
Yeah.
Because I knew that I was getting better. It's kind of that achievement thing that you were talking about. Started out 1 in 30 that I would get a contract. Then it became, or an appointment, I should say. Then it became 1 in 20. And so I knew that if I got to 19 no's, that the next one on average was going to be an appointment, right? And then I got it down to 1 in 10. And you just continued. And that's how you, like, to your point of not burning out, as I was celebrating that I was getting that closing percentage of it closing for a consult.
Yeah.
Right. And then from there, I would work on that ratio, right? If it was 1 out of every 5 of my appointments, I would close. Now I'm trying to get that to 1 out of every 4 because the scoreboard starts anew every Monday. And so you always have to have something that you're working towards.
To me, I still celebrate the no's. It just doesn't get paid more for the no's now because there's fewer of them until I get paid. So to me, it's like, it's not trying to get, no's are an inevitability in sales. No one closes 100% of the time. They're liars and frauds. It's an inevitability, or you're talking to the wrong people.
Sure.
So that's part of it. I mean, getting told no is part of what you get paid to do. So you can do the division and just figure out how many no's it takes to get to the yes. You just get paid for that many no's, and you just get paid more per no's over time as you get better. That's how I think about it. And it frees me up to just always be winning.
I love how much the language that you use for sales, you can just tell you're so passionate about it. So let's talk about a day and a half. We'll get you out of here on this one. In a day and a half so far, has there been a major takeaway so far? Obviously, we got another full day remaining. Takeaway.
Weirdly, I'm going to refer to the same thing. When we were doing the thing you came up to seeing someone who there's only so many saboteurs, there's only like 10 of them, but seeing someone who was exactly me. And he was describing how his wife viewed his restlessness. And it was literally like I was listening to a voice note of myself talking. So the biggest takeaway for me in the most immediate sense is not necessarily some massive thing I can do to the business. It's literally the constant reminder that I am not alone in my psychosis, that I'm in a group of people who are all psychotic,
Yes.
who all want to
Yes.
conquer, who all face the same challenges, who all have spouses that sometimes understand, sometimes don't. Like the feeling of community you get here is profound. It's profound. I like it's not just something I'm processing in my head. I feel it in my chest. You can feel that in the room. And I don't get that anywhere else.
So I don't want to gloss over this. Everyone that I talk to and have for over 7 years now, there's always this loneliness feeling. Like I'm kind of out, on this journey alone. And it doesn't mean that you don't have people that are around you, your family, but people get you here, right? I don't care what type of entrepreneur you are. There is one of them upstairs in that room. I don't think anyone's ever said that as a takeaway, like for the first day, and into day 2. But I think it's the one that I hope everyone realizes when they walk in the room for the first time, the second time, the third time, the 20th time, that this is my tribe. These people get me. So other than when people are listening to this and being in the room with you, how do people get a hold of you?
It's going to be a little lame and self-promoting. Why the easiest way to find me is on Instagram. That's the only thing that my assistant hasn't yet taken over.
More of this like enthusiasm for sales. It's a good follow.
Also, I don't usually sound like this. Speaking about feeling alone, like the feeling, I was at a wedding this past weekend where first off, I've been rebranding. I'm saying I don't sound this way because I have 2 kids in daycare. I'm rebranding as sexy smoker. That's my vibe going forward. That's my
rebrand and bourbon.
Exactly. This is not herbal tea. This is straight bourbon. And so like not being able to communicate, not feeling like I'm hearing my own voice. It's like, it's your money maker. It's my money maker. Yeah, I got to work on that. But 2 kids in daycare, got strep throat. The other one got me nauseous, threw up all with strep throat and like lost my voice for 2 weeks, which is like insane.
Makes me feel very comfortable.
You're right. Yeah, I'm not sick anymore. I've been free.
Sure.
Everyone's giving me this. This was like 2-3 weeks ago.
Okay.
It's just, it's injured. It's just a hurt voice. I'm not sick.
You just need to rest it, which I'll give you that opportunity now. So
rest it. Yeah.
Right. Rest it until your presentation.
I'm talking until I can't talk anymore. That's how it works.
Well, Ian is, again, you can find him on Ian Ross at Instagram.
At Vivid Selling. VIVID
Selling. And, you can find him there, but you can also find him in the Collective Genius rooms, both in the select level, elevate level, as well as premier. Guys, would love to have you in that room as well. Obviously, as we've talked about before, you can find your application at thecollectivegenius.com. If you're a real estate investor and you're an entrepreneur wanting to continue to grow and scale your business, this is your tribe. This is your community. You can check us out there. And obviously, this is our live version of the podcast, but you can also check out our podcast at thecgpodcast.com, or you can find us at any of the places in which you find your podcast. Would love to see you not only in this room, but hear your comments and share the podcast. We'd love to have you. Ian,
I love your podcast, by the way. I listen to it while running.
I told Steve the same thing when I first started in this, and when he first came aboard of CG. Like, if you're a runner and you want a 60, 70-minute run, it's perfect. Steve's podcasts are very same with Real Estate Disruptors. They're usually about an hour and 20 minutes. They're perfect if you're going on a very long run. I appreciate that. I think we're 11 episodes in.
It's good.
You're exciting. Thank you, man. Really are. I appreciate that. These, you guys, you and all of our members make it very easy for me because you have such passion about what it is that you do, or all the things that you do. So we will be back with another live podcast here, probably in a couple of hours, if not beforehand. We'll see you then.
Are you ready to scale your real estate business? Visit thecollectivegenius.com, where real estate investors come to scale. Subscribe to the Collective Genius podcast and hit the bell icon to be notified when our next episode releases. And thanks for listening.